Good morning. Come on, guys. Good morning. My name is Terrell Hegler. I'm a former sanitation worker for the city of Philadelphia. Many of you may recognize me for my advocacy to achieve zero litter in the city of Philadelphia by 2025 and for safer working conditions for sanitation workers as your fave trash man on Instagram. Yes, that's YAFAV trash man on Instagram. Since the pandemic began, more than 1.29 million people have been infected with COVID-19, and more than 28,000 people have died here in Pennsylvania. Of those who have tested positive for the coronavirus, over 300 identified as Philadelphia sanitation workers. Last summer, I fundraised over $32,000 to purchase PPE and cleaning supplies for sanitation workers by selling T-shirts. While the pandemic revealed our nation's vulnerabilities, we had an important decision to make last November as the health of our nation hung in the balance. I voted for President Joe Biden because he had a plan to ensure that all Americans could get back to work and back on their feet after the pandemic. With President Biden's American Rescue Plan, Democrats cut taxes for families, invested in infrastructures that will create millions of well-paying jobs, and push efforts to lower costs like health care, prescription drugs for all Americans. I began my career as a sanitation worker here in Philly with a base salary of $32,000 a year. Between 3 kids and bills, I knew that if I fell ill, I wouldn't be able to provide for my family. As part of the American Rescue Plan, President Biden and Democrats expanded the child tax credit to deliver a tax cut for middle-class families, up to $300 per child every month, deposited directly into bank accounts. 90% of families with children will get an average tax cut of $4,380, an additional relief up to $1,600 per child through the child tax credit was provided to families of over 2,368,000 children in the state of Pennsylvania, lifting 140,000 children out of poverty. Despite what's being said, good things do happen in Philadelphia. As we know, when it comes to finding a sustainable way to recovering, we have to consider and include everyone. Now, Democrats are fighting to invest in our roads, our bridges, water pipes, and high-speed internet. These infrastructure investments will continue to spur economic growth and will create more jobs. Under Biden's administration and Democrats' leadership, in the past 6 months, the economy has grown from creating only 60,000 jobs a month to creating 60,000 jobs every 3 days. While the mettle of our strength was tested, I am confident we will get back on track after the pandemic. I am inspired to dream of all the possibilities of the future for our community servants, especially those who continue to step up and keep us safe. If you believe in an equitable American dream, you understand how important it is for us to build back better. Thank you. Now I would like to introduce to you DNC Chair Jamie Harrison.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is so good to see you all. It is so good to be here in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Thank you all for being here this morning. My friends, today is the last day of the DNC's Build Back Better tour. It was so good to be out on the road again these past few weeks. It's been so good to go all over this great nation of ours. Everywhere I went, from Virginia to North Carolina to South Carolina to the Gila River in Arizona, I had the chance to meet with Democratic leaders who are working each and every day to deliver for their communities. I want to thank a few that have joined me here today. Our Pennsylvania Democratic Party Chair, Nancy Patton Mills. Pennsylvania Vice Chair and Senator Sharif Street. The DNC Treasurer, my good friend, Virginia McGregor. Congressman Dwight Evans. Mayor Jim Kenney. AFT President Randy Weingarten. Attorney General Josh Shapiro. And my good friend, the former Congressman Bob Brady. We also have our DNC members from the great state of Pennsylvania. Always good to have you all. Folks, the Democratic Party and the people of Pennsylvania are lucky to have leaders like you. Before I start, though, I want to acknowledge the service members we lost in Afghanistan this last week. My friends, these heroes were killed while engaged in selfless acts of service. They were doing the brave, necessary work of evacuating Americans and our Afghan partners from a war zone. Today, in all ways, I am grateful for the work our service members do to keep us safe. I'm grateful for the sacrifices of their families as well. All of us engaged in public service can learn from their example. One way we can honor that example is by making sure that our work serves the American people and that we do everything that we can to address their everyday needs. My friends, this past weekend, we marked the 58th anniversary of the March on Washington. In honor of that day, thousands of people all across the country came together again to fight for our most sacred right, the right to vote. There are a lot of important issues, but the right to vote is unique. There's a reason why people were willing to take a precious life to keep folks like my grandparents from the polls. There's a reason why Dr. King, Congressman Lewis, and so many of our elders were willing to sacrifice their lives for the right to cast a ballot. The vote is an expression of hope. Hope that change is possible. Hope that your voice matters. Hope that the person you're putting your faith in will deliver for you and your loved ones. That sort of hope, my friends, is a powerful thing. That sort of hope can change a nation. And when the American people put that hope on our shoulders, when they put us in office, Democrats deliver. We delivered voting rights. We delivered Medicare. We delivered Medicaid. We delivered the Affordable Care Act. We delivered the American Rescue Plan to get people vaccinated, put checks in pockets, and to help bring small businesses roaring back. Folks, we deliver. It's a simple message, and it's what we need people to know in every corner of the United States. It's what we need people right here in Pennsylvania, what we need them to know as well. There is a Senate seat, a governorship, and offices at every level up in 2022 here in Pennsylvania, and people need to know what we are all about. My friends, we, the Democratic Party, are the wall between the land of hope and the flames of chaos. And my friends, we cannot falter. We need folks to know that if you want leaders who show up every day, if you want leaders who do the work, if you want leaders that deliver real results, then the Democratic Party is for you. And one of those leaders is Attorney General Josh Shapiro. He's a committed advocate for the people of Pennsylvania. He stood up to drug companies. He's worked to reduce gun violence, and he has fought tirelessly to protect voting rights. He knows what it means to deliver. And it's my honor to introduce him now. Please join me in welcoming Attorney General Josh Shapiro.
Well, good morning, everybody. Mr. Chairman, welcome to the City of Brotherly Love and Sisterly Affection, and thank you for bringing some South Carolina heat with you here today. A little warm and muggy, but we're doing all right here because, of course, Pennsylvania and the city of Philadelphia is the birthplace of our American democracy. And for more than 200 years, Pennsylvanians have worked tirelessly to protect that democracy. But over the last year, Donald Trump and his enablers, well, they've waged a systematic and dangerous assault on the very foundations of this country. Today, Pennsylvania and the city of Philadelphia are again the epicenter of that battle to protect our democracy. And as Pennsylvania's Attorney General, I've been proud, along with my team, to be on the front lines with many who are here today to defend people's right to vote every single day. During the 2020 election, Donald Trump and his enablers, well, they sued us dozens of times to make it harder for people to vote. And, Mr. Chairman, they weren't trying to make it harder for people who look like me to vote. They were trying to disenfranchise our black and brown communities, making it harder for them to access the polls. And when that didn't work, and people safely and securely in the midst of a pandemic, thanks to local leaders like Mayor Kenney and local clerks, Republicans and Democrats all across this Commonwealth who ran a safe and secure election, when they couldn't stop people from showing up at the polls in record numbers, they sued us a couple dozen times again to make it harder for those votes to count. Well, we protected the will of the people here in Pennsylvania. We had a safe and secure and free and fair election. And the result, by over 80,000 votes, was right here in Pennsylvania, the birthplace of our democracy. We sent Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House to deliver for us. Pennsylvanians elected Joe Biden because they recognized it was time to deliver real results from Washington, D.C. And thanks to the American Rescue Plan and President Biden's leadership, folks are finally getting help from Washington. People like Congressman Evans finally have some company at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to deliver for the good people in his district. Look, as Pennsylvania's Attorney General, man, I see people getting screwed every single day. Randy, our school kids, some who could learn from the safety of their home with Wi-Fi and some who had to plug in next to a fast food restaurant just to be able to get online. COVID laid bare those inequities that exist in our education system and in our workforce. And finally, it's not just the powerful and the well-connected who've got access to government. Finally, thanks to Joe Biden, thanks to the Democrats, everyday Pennsylvanians are starting to see some real change and some real progress. Let me give you an actual example. Remember, in the former administration, Donald Trump tried to cut SNAP benefits, something that 1.8 million Pennsylvanians rely on. Well, when they tried to cut those SNAP benefits, I went to court and fought like hell to stop them from being able to do that. I fought for folks like Marina from Glenside, Pennsylvania, a mother of four who last year gave me a food coupon that she used to need to feed those four children and keep them healthy and safe in Glenside. She told me that that coupon was the difference for her family being able to survive, being able to get that meal on the table, and otherwise going hungry. Marina understands the value and the importance of those SNAP benefits. You know who else does? Joe Biden does. Because in his first month in office, thanks to Joe Biden and the Democrats, they expanded food assistance. And now those 1.8 million Pennsylvanians, well, I don't have to sue the President of the United States so they can keep being fed. Instead, we have a President of the United States who is working every single day to make sure they have food on the table and actually delivering for them. That's real progress. That's why elections matter. And that's why protecting our democracy so the voice of the people can be heard is so critically important. Here's another reason why. Reproductive rights, Mr. Chairman, are on the ballot right now. Reproductive rights are going to be heard in the United States Supreme Court in just a few months. I've been in court fighting to defend a woman's right to choose. It sure is nice right now to have a United States Solicitor General appointed by the President of the United States who actually cares about the rights of women again. Let's put our hands together and say thank you to President Biden for standing up for women all across his country. Right now, President Biden and the Democrats are working in Washington to pass an infrastructure bill that's actually going to put people back to work, like the workers I've been with in Pittsburgh and Scranton and right here in Philadelphia. They're ready to rebuild our Commonwealth. They're ready to rebuild our country. They just need President Biden's infrastructure plan in place to help them do that. His job is going to create thousands of good-paying union jobs right here in Philly and all across Pennsylvania. Jobs for carpenters and steel workers and line workers and laborers and engineers for thousands of Pennsylvanians. So we can rebuild our roads and bridges, connect people in rural Pennsylvania and in North Philly to the broadband they need to be able to survive. That's what Joe Biden is doing. And let me tell you something. When these folks go to work, I'll continue to be on the front lines making sure there's no more wage theft or worker misclassification in Pennsylvania, stealing money from those good workers that Joe Biden is putting back on the job. Look, here's the bottom line. Joe Biden, he's delivering real progress. But while he's doing that, the attacks on our democracy haven't stopped. And there is a price to pay for those who work in service to the big lie, those who serve Donald Trump instead of serving the good people of Pennsylvania and the good people of the United States. You see, when Republicans are focused on the big lie, focused on appeasing Donald Trump, as they are in Harrisburg today, well, then they're ignoring those hungry kids. They're ignoring the need to make health care more affordable. They're ignoring the important work that Joe Biden's trying to do to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. They're trying to relitigate an election that Joe Biden won fair and square instead of meeting the real needs of the good people of Pennsylvania. So here's what I know. I know we need to keep sending leaders to Harrisburg and Washington, keep putting up political leaders like Chairman Harrison, who are going to focus on the real needs of people, not focus on serving one man and the big lie. That's what I'm focused on too as Pennsylvania's Attorney General. And that's what United States Congressman Dwight Evans is focused on in Washington, D.C. He is a pivotal player in all of these fights, in reducing the cost of prescription drugs, in getting kids safely back into the classroom, in making sure those line workers get out and do the work, rebuilding our roads and bridges and building up our broadband. We need powerful leaders in Washington like Congressman Evans, who are working in concert with President Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Philadelphia's own United States Congressman and my friend, Dwight Evans.
Thank you, Josh, for that introduction. And Jamie, thank you for your leadership. Jim Clyburn has done well by you. And we thank you for your leadership, and I have you shown all of us. And what I can say about all of you who are here as the Attorney General, who will make an excellent governor, just in case I won't put that out there. I've known him a long, long time. I just add that tweet in there while it's in there. The American Rescue Plan. I had the pleasure of voting for the American Rescue Plan. And I was proud to vote for that plan because of the leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris. You know, you talk about meeting a moment. Biden and Harris met a moment. We haven't been in this type of situation in 100 years. No, we didn't create it, but it's how you address it. And President Biden and the Democrats have shown So let me talk a few examples about something that could relate to effect. Let's talk about $7.4 billion in fiscal relief. You know, Josh, you and I know a little bit about that because we both was on the appropriation committee. And when you talk about $7.4 billion, what that means to all the Pennsylvanians, rural, urban, that was done by the Biden-Harris Democratic team. That's important to understand the impact that $7.4 billion. Let's talk about local. Mayor Kenny, which is extremely important. $4.9 billion in local fiscal relief. You know, Mayor Kenny allow you to not to have to lay off people, to make sure that you have police, to make sure sanitation, to make sure the kinds of things that you are doing a job about running this city. You have a partner in Washington, D.C. It's fantastic that a mayor has a partner in the White House and have a party like Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. It's good to have that help, isn't it, Jim Kenney? It's good to be able to have somebody return your phone calls. It's good somebody who knows what it's like in terms of Philadelphia or Chicago or New York. All those things are extremely important. Students and the parents all work together. President Biden and the Democrats understand that. So that's why. So at the state level with Governor Wolf, $7.4 billion. At the city level with Jim Kenney, $4 billion. At the level of Dr. Haidt, $5.1 billion in education. Those are important. That is just the beginning of the American Rescue Act. The economic impact that has had has made a fantastic difference. That is what we need. We need to understand that only through together, and Vice President Harris, who's been a fantastic partner with President Biden, they understand what a team is like. And Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer also understand the team. So we as Democrats are here today to say that it is a team effort. It is something that we realize that's what will bring us back better. We all realize that in order to address the issues that we have today, we must work together. As the Democratic Party, we recognize, as you heard the Attorney General talk about people's right to vote, the John Lewis package that passed the House. That is important. I had the pleasure of serving with John Lewis on the Ways and Means Committee. I learned an awful lot from John Lewis. And he used to always say, if you see something, do something. That's what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats recognize if you see something, do something. May it be state, city, or schools, we all recognize we must do something. So, Jamie, we are behind you. We are working with you every single day, every single county, every single township. You know, Jamie, we may have come over here on different boats, but we're in the same boat now, Jamie, called Pennsylvania. And we know how critical Pennsylvania is to the equation. You know, Jamie, we're not going to leave you out there by yourself. I want you to be clear. You know, you got some friends here. You see them, they're here. This is just the beginning. And every time you come in, every time you ask, it's going to be us recognizing that is important in terms of building back better. That we have a responsibility and an obligation As you just described about the soldiers, unfortunately, who died, who went out there in terms of Afghanistan, you were correct in terms of them giving of their lives. You know, it was very unfortunate, but we all recognize that we're here and we're now here together. And we all recognize that we need to make a difference. So I'm proud to be a part, Jamie, of this team, the Democrats. And I'm here to do my part. You know, Nancy says, it's a little hot out here, Dwight. I said, yeah, well, you know, bald-head guys got that problem, Jay. That's why I said to Nancy. You know, guys in here, like people like Jim Kennedy, Jay, don't have that problem. We got that problem a little bit. As a matter of fact, he's the next person I'm gonna hear, because since he don't, he's been a good personal friend. I've watched him as a city councilman for 24 years, as mayor of this city, with very difficult times. He has found a way to bring people together. And I know it ain't been easy, Jim. I know sometimes you shake your head, but you know it's the right thing to do. He is the person that is leading the 5th largest city in the nation, where America started. That's what he is. He's leading the city. So let's hear for our mayor of the city, Jim Kenney.
Thanks, Dwight, and good morning to everyone. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for swinging through Philadelphia on your way to getting all this work done. Let me just give you a little insight into what it was like being a mayor of a big city back in 2020. It was horrible. Every single day was horrible. Between the illness and the deaths that we experienced, the civil unrest, the crazy Trump stuff that was going on. And then towards the end of 2020 came this glorious day in Philadelphia, when Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, but Philadelphia especially, put the Biden-Harris ticket over the top. Election day, we were concerned because we weren't sure what was going to happen, and we had police standing by, you know, not too visible, but standing by in case things went sideways. And that potential going sideways turned into a typical Philadelphia street party with line dancing and a disc jockey and people just celebrating like I've never seen before. And I tell you that because during the course of the rest of 2020 and 2021, when we were preparing for our budget, we were looking on a worst case scenario, laying off, as Dwight said, police officers, firefighters, sanitation workers, cutting programs, doing all the things none of us wanted to do, that we were building and growing in the first term, and now we were looking at a way to take it apart. And then came the American Rescue Plan, and it is aptly named because it did rescue America, and it rescued big cities, and it rescued cities all over the country. So instead of trying to figure out how we were going to get rid of people and cut programs, we were figuring out how we would build on that help and move forward. Same thing with the infrastructure plan. That's going to do the exact same thing that the American Rescue Plan did with our revenue replacement. But it will allow us to grow and to build on the things that we've been putting off, some of the infrastructure problems that we simply can't afford. And then we need to get voting rights passed, because the poison gas is still out there. You see it every day. You can smell it. You can see it swirling around us on national news, in the minds and hearts of people who have been led astray to say the crazy things they say and to believe the crazy things they do. If we don't get this infrastructure plan done, and we don't get voting rights done, and we don't come back and return Biden-Harris to the White House, we only have ourselves to blame. And this country will not withstand another 4 years of Donald Trump, and that's what they're waiting for. They're trying to cut people's ability to vote. They're trying to poison people's minds. They're trying to continue to make people sick by not taking the vaccine and making up all kinds of crazy stories about stuff. But we have to continue to be forceful, and we have to continue to focus on what our job is, and that's getting this administration back in office again in 2024. And we can do it with programs like this, and we can do it with all of you. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for all your hard work, and all the folks here, Josh and others. I just want to thank you all for being here. It is hot, but we have a lot of work to do. So, appropriately dressed in blue is the leader of our state party, Nancy Patton Mills, and I ask her to come up and speak. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. And slowly undressing in blue. It's my honor to be here today with the Congressman and our Attorney General. And Chairman Harris, I'm so pleased that you are our chairman. You and I have known each other for many years, and I'm so proud to have you as our chairman, and welcome to Pennsylvania. I'm so glad, Mayor Kenney, that you spoke about your standpoint, the standpoint that you had as the mayor of Philadelphia. And I'd like to speak to you a little bit about my standpoint as the chair of Pennsylvania. My vice chair, Senator Sharif Street, and I, we had an agreement from the very beginning that 2016 would never be repeated in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania could not be red. So we worked together, Sharif and I, and all 67 counties were our goal. Now, the Republicans, on the other hand, were building a wall and having a caravan. And what we did is we took the Biden-Harris message to all 67 counties. We delivered his message and his promise and her message and her promise to all 67 counties. And what we said is President Biden will deliver for you. He'll deliver health care. He'll deliver jobs. He'll deliver education. We will deliver for you. So whenever we talk about Build Back Better and delivering, that's exactly what Sharif and I told everybody in Pennsylvania. And guess what? When we won, we were able to go back to these same counties and say, we told you that the president would deliver, and he has delivered. So we are so proud to lead Pennsylvania, Sharif and I, and all of our staff and the whole community. And we're proud to be part of what's happening now as we go back over Pennsylvania and talk to our voters for this cycle. And we believe in muscle memory. We're talking about our House, our judicial races across Pennsylvania. We know that if people vote this year, they vote next year. And we know how important it is to have the governor, the U.S. senator, and to hold the Congress, hold it for Dwight Evans and Nancy Pelosi and all of our good Congress people. I'm very pleased to be here, and it's my privilege to be able to introduce your next speaker. Randy Weingarten is the president of the AFT, and I must tell you, Randy, my son is a member of the AFT. And he wants me to tell you that his college has the most active AFT division in Pennsylvania at Robert Morris University. So yes, and the AFT saved his life last year during the pandemic. While Sharif and I were trying to win an election, there were teachers that were trying to get out and teach. There were educators that didn't know what to do. The AFT protected my son. He was able to teach from home, and I'll always be grateful for that. But we were able to, Sharif and I want to introduce him to make sure that you all see Sharif. We're always holding hands together at all of these events. So thank you, Sharif, and thank you, Jason Henry, my executive director, and thank you, Jamie, for inviting me here today. Thank you.
I think I'm the last, and I am also the shortest speaker. So I have been crisscrossing the country for the last month. So in an abundance of caution to all of you, I will also wear my mask as I speak. Look, I am a good Democrat, and I am so glad to be here and be with the bus in terms of this Build Back Better campaign and push. But I also want to talk as an American today, which is, as Mayor Kenney said, and it's so great to hear from the Attorney General and from the mayor and from Representative and from the leader, both leaders, the national leader of the DNC, the state leader, Nancy. But I'm talking as an American right now. And that's what Joe Biden is doing every single day. When he's talking about building back better, it's not for people who are in blue areas or red areas. It's for everyone. It's for making sure that everyone has a shot in life. It's for making sure that we have an economy that works for all. An economy that doesn't work for the 1%, but works for the 99%. An economy that has good union jobs. That's what A.G. Shapiro talked about in terms of infrastructure. That infrastructure bill will bring good jobs to Pennsylvania. good jobs around the country. That's why we need it to be passed and passed immediately. What did the American Rescue Plan do? You heard Mayor Kenny talk about it. Let me talk about it from schools. All last year, all of 2020, we kept saying we need two things. We know our kids need to be in school. That's obvious. The benefits of in-school learning are obvious. Ask any parent in America, ask any teacher in America. But they needed to be done safely. And in the middle of a 100-year pandemic, or a pandemic that happens once every 100 years, there was a protocol that we knew needed to happen even before vaccines. And the last administration refused to do it. And this administration, Biden and Harris, did everything in their power to get us the resources, get us the safety protocols. And you know what? As a result, virtually every school reopened in the spring. And you know what? Right now, even with the COVID, the Delta curveball, we are reopening schools everywhere in the nation and reopening them safely with the protocols that we need. And that's because of the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, knowing that parents need our kids to be in school, and educators across America are doing that. I see it everywhere I go. I was in Scranton last week. The teachers did a fair in all 3 parks, bringing parents in, having vaccine clinics, answering their questions. That's what teachers all over the country are doing with the resources we got from the American Rescue Plan. And let me say the third one, which is voting. Economics, education, voting. These are the ways that regular people have power in America. And frankly, 58 years after the Voting Rights Bill, as both the Attorney General, as Chair Harrison said, I go back to, and I end with this, the words of Martin Luther King: chaos versus community. Voice. What is happening in this country? What is happening? I don't know what has happened to the Republican Party. I don't know when the party of Lincoln became the party of lies. Voice is important for everyone. Community is important for everyone. And when you don't have voice and you don't have community, you have chaos. Martin Luther King warned us about this in his last book. We need to create voice for everyone. We need to create good education and a path to a decent job where everyone has a shot. That is what Joe Biden is doing. That is what the Democratic Party is doing. That's why we need voting rights for everyone. We need good education options for everyone. We need great public schools. We need to make sure health care is a right, and we need to make sure that we have an economy that works for all. That is the Build Back Better, not only position, but push that we are advocating every single day. I am honored to be here. Thank you.